Thank you very much for being here. At the intersections of cultures, the message I'm trying to get here, for many reasons, we individually or as a group, a school, educational institution, for many reasons, we are at interesting intersections right now. Of course, we always face challenges, we always facing different choices, but right now I think we're facing more and more interesting opportunities and decisions we have to make. Think about 21st century design education. Even though we are already 2024, we're way into 21st century. But somehow, personally, I haven't heard enough about discussions about 21st century design education. And there are lots of observations and interpretations, opinions on what design education is all about, what are the roots of modern design education. People think about this, it's very traditional. In many ways, it is over 100 years old. It's very true. But at the same time, we have to understand, no matter when the Bauhaus started over 100 years ago, or what we have to do today, design education are always contextualized. Some people look at this as very traditional. They can relate to every element on this particular curriculum to different courses, studios, seminars they teach in comprehensive universities, art institutions. Different studios, different seminars. I say different. I mean, sometimes we see a little bit of fragmentation of how each courses relate to each other. 5 years ago, we had a major celebration of Bauhaus in China. Of course, Bauhaus was celebrated by many people all over the world, but China particularly celebrated that for lots of reasons. Among the many events organized, I heard many people talk about individual courses and how Bauhaus ideal courses were introduced to China. I personally have not heard enough about the coherence behind all the courses, the philosophical foundations behind all this. Even though we do talk about that was a curriculum designed for only mass production, for high industrialization, that's true. But the contextualization of that is often not well articulated, or the philosophical background. For instance, now many people try to do many things, new design initiatives, new areas of design research and design practice, from interaction design, user experience, surface design. People think, you're going all over the places, but who you are. You're going to all over the places, who you are. You should go back to original industrial design, visual communication, that's cool. But I asked them, do you realize over 100 years ago, you went through Bauhaus, that training, you're able to design buildings, you're able to design furniture, you're able to design home appliances. Did you realize there were all the courses, there were central philosophical academic themes of 20th century production. They're not just particular skill sets. They're common knowledge, themes of 20th century civilization production are one aspect of civilization. They're not just sets of skills. That's why you went through 3 years of Bauhaus training. You're able to design buildings, furniture, home appliances, and many other things, including posters, from 3D to 2Ds. Don't you realize they were very broad as well? They brought because they were central themes of something. They were not just skill sets. From Bauhaus, there are many great institutions and, of course, professional firms. 1960s to 70s, the design methods movements was very important. Happened both in UK and the United States. Royal College of Art and Illinois Institute of Technology were both important drivers for the design methods movements. The design finally found its way to participate more holistically in economic events. Simply, they become departments, units of major corporations. There are design consultancy companies spread all over the places. We began to understand there are patterns of how we do things. So those patterns become methods of doing, and that are shared and learned by many people. And those are very important advancement of 20th century design education, from Bauhaus to the design methods movements. Design now accepted by major economic organizations, big businesses. Then when it came to 1980s, Carnegie Mellon started the interdisciplinary education. 1985, design, engineering, and business school, they came together 1985 to start this so-called new product development, new IMP, the integrated new product development course. So that course ran from 1985 all the way till now. From 2003, they developed in something called MPD, Master of Product Development. And 2015, they started something called III, Integrated Innovation Institute. So still run by 3 schools together, engineering school, business school, and design. Aalto University, another important institution in Europe. So that's what I personally just identify a few examples of 20th century design education and important areas. That's just my personal observation. A little bit about my background. So I had an engineering background, 4-year college from China, and then I had another 3-year architectural learning as my second major while I was full-time working. And then I came to the United States, started all over again from freshman to seniors, another 4 years undergrad degree, painting and graphic design. So basically I had 11 years of undergraduate education. And then master and PhD. So after I finished my PhD, I was invited by Hong Kong Polytechnic. I started something called interaction design for Hong Kong Polytechnic. It was okay, good. But here, I mostly just brought what I learned from Carnegie Mellon to that side of the world. Although I did redesign the curricula for 2 important reasons. Firstly, Carnegie Mellon have 2-year masters, and Hong Kong Polytechnic was a 1-year program. And certainly, second reason, intakes and the graduation expectations are different. So therefore, I had to redesign the whole thing. But basically, what the foundation for my design of the curricula was I got from Carnegie Mellon. So that's one thing I did. And it was actually a very well-respected program in China, Asia, and a little bit of globally. When I was still at Hong Kong Polytechnic, I realized Wikipedia about interaction design, that little word, it has Hong Kong Polytechnic there. But one thing I realized after I left, Hong Kong Polytechnic was no longer there. I don't know why, but I feel better for Hong Kong Polytechnic. Personally, I was very happy for the years I was there, and that's how many people who know about me, Xin, the starter of Interactive Design for China, all those. So, Chinese mainland. I was invited by one of the important design institutions in China. And what I did, brought the Carnegie Mellon integrated innovation education to Chinese context. Again, different social political context and more complex than what I did in Hong Kong. But it was fairly successful for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I did what I was trying to do. When I went back to China, people said, Xin, that's a mission impossible. Why? Because that school is an old school, lots of politics there. I said, yes, I understand. I'm prepared for that. If you are a designer, you should be prepared for everything, anything. That's what designers do. You don't see problems. You see opportunities, spaces for innovation. For the school, what I did, what the university level people, they cared very much about the KPIs, the publications, grants. We did all those, and they got a doctoral program set up, which was a big thing, and it's lots of reviewing processes by peering universities. So we got all those, but those are what I did for the university, but what I did for my own personal motivation and what I think is important for the next generation of young people was be design education. Some people care less about education, they care more about KPIs management, but what I said, responsible, respectable, research-oriented school, a little bit like slogan, a mission, something. The first day when I went to the school, I was given the brochure of the school. The brochure was said, we nurture elite designers. We nurture elite designers. That's nice, elite designers. As soon as I saw that brochure, I said to the general office, please take this away from me. I feel so embarrassed if I show this to anyone who visits our school. You want to be elite designers? You can walk out in the street like a crab? No. We say in Chinese saying, walk like a crab, you walk sideways. So you pay attention to others. So if you have so-called ideal or principle, so user-centered design, human-centered design, then forget about elite. Responsible, respectable. If you're able to understand the people individually, collectively, community-wise, if you're able to make contributions to their life, you're going to be respectable. You're going to be respected. Respected, to be very practical, you're going to get a better job. You're going to be well paid. That's something I need to communicate to the parents who send their kids to the school. So which completely will change the whole curricula. So the year one is all about nurturing the sensibility of awareness of issues and problems, be able to understand the possibilities and how we may interpret, frame problems differently. Second year is about the skill sets about understanding people. For instance, human factors, all those user research and so-called traditional design methods. The third year is about understanding the greater macro aspects, social, cultural backgrounds, how those may affect your decision, how those may position whatever you do in the larger context. And year 4 is all about integration, everything. So in order to make that doable, make a long-standing school with long history, with over 100 faculty members, to be able to agree with me, to at least we have a collective effort to make the change. There was lots of things I have to think about, techniques, management techniques, strategical, and also we did something called experimental program on integrated innovation. We nurture students who are able to define products and services, be able to propose holistic solutions, create positive user experience throughout the value chain, allow students to have self-renewal, teamwork, and good professional ethics. So this is one our basic the goal for that particular experimental program, and then those are different courses related to different skill sets. And we have created over about 30 completely new courses. And that became the seed program for the whole college. So slowly we were able to get those done. As a dean, I teach 3 to 4 undergraduate courses every year. And I was doing at least 2 major international conferences every year. I could say I have never seen any dean in China who teach that much. I did. And every time I teach a course, at least I would ask at least two younger faculty members to co-teach with me so they understand what I'm talking about. So the hard work paid off. We get 2 times of National Education Reform Award. That's a big deal. So National Education Award only given once every 4 years. So we got it, then we got it again after I left, even though I left, but those are still based on all the materials I prepared for them. So we got 2 times National Education Award. So once in every 4 years. What's a big deal? So give you some little bit of more detailed information about this experimental program. Be able to define products and services. You're able to define products and services. You have to understand what is a product, what is a service. We don't talk about product or service enough. We teach different skill sets. So, give you one particular interesting This is a sophomore, first semester sophomore project. As I was teaching freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Project very simple. 8 weeks, groups of students, has to be in groups. You pick up one product or service. I don't care what you choose. Spend 8 weeks, tell me what it is. Some people may just choose a very simple thing like a bottle of water. They will ask me, Xin, you ask me, Professor Xin, you ask me to spend 8 weeks, tell me what it is. As yes. I said, yes, 8 weeks. It's a water, yes. It's a branded water. There's so many things behind. I'm asking students, one thing what I teach is, help them understand how to spend 8 weeks. I don't teach any research methods. I don't tell them what I'm expecting from the report. I'm only asking, I need 2 posters, 2 videos, and 1 research report. Sophomore, first semester. 2 posters. I don't want posters with images, only words. 1 poster that you create, 100 words, less than 100 words. Another poster over 1,000 words. Spend 1,000 words to fully explain what it is, or concentrate very precise 100 words, what it is. So that 8 weeks was very interesting. We had lots of interesting choices, water, even the wheels of a car, or one group of students, they choose actually Tesla. That was 2015. And when they said, I would like to talk about Tesla, sure. You want to talk to Tesla, you need to, another videos, 2 videos requirement, very simple. So my poster requirements, only words, no images. 100 words less, 1,000 words above. So those are my requirements. So 2 videos, 1 video from the perspective of a user, consumer. Another video from the perspective of the company, whether it's an engineer or designer, I don't care. So one group of students, they chose Tesla, said, okay, if you want to understand Tesla company perspective, you need to go to visit Tesla. At that time, Tesla only had 2 offices, one in Beijing, one in Shanghai. So if you need to, then you have to go there. Then you have to understand how to do proper proposals and the communication between you and someone else. So from all those little things, I'm helping students try to understand professionalism, trying to understand the preparation of research, and trying to understand what questions to ask. I don't really teach them how to develop questionnaires, but I keep asking them questions. So who told you this? And who have you talked to? I talked to that. What about other people? So continuously after a few weeks, I'm asking students to report on their progress. You can see tens, dozens of research methods all there. I don't have to teach. So that was wonderful. And after they finished the Tesla little video, said, Tesla helped you. Should you, don't you think you should send the video to them? So just say thank you. So they did. Tesla immediately put this video on their official website. A big deal. It was a big deal. And 2 months ago, I was invited by Tesla Communication PR, public relations group. The head of public relations said, Professor, we have learned about you. Could you come to Beijing to see? Then I showed that video. Then I showed the thank you message from Tesla. Then they asked me, said, can we take a picture of that message? I said, sure. Then they told me that's the PR big guy from Tesla headquarters. It was really nice. And unfortunately, I missed another important event, the Tesla top designer who visited China just 2 weeks ago. I need to be there, but unfortunately, I'm here. So that's a couple of posters from students. So that's another small, in continuation of this. So by spending 8 weeks talk about one thing, they suddenly develop all type of vocabularies and language for talking about products and services. They suddenly have they're able to, at that age, to be able to discuss things like real professionals. Because the so-called human-centered design, user-centered design, we start from people. Traditionally, we have, let's say, a course of transportation design or furniture design. We see 7 groups of students with 7 different sets of furniture. Or 7 different chairs, 7 different tables, 7 different tables with a little bit interactive technology. Those typical design process start from things. If we do talk about human-centered, user-centered, you start from people. So there's a second assignment from year 2, first semester. Identify people that you have access to, but often ignored. So basically, students look for people who they can have access to, talk to those people, understand who they are, and all those again. So then develop a design brief. Design a design brief based on the understanding of that particular group of people. With the first assignment of talking about products for 8 weeks, they're able to design a good brief with accuracy and the right vocabulary and have the right requirements. So that's how first assignment, 8 weeks, was important, fit the second assignment. So second assignment, I'm not asking them to do any proposal. I don't want to say any concept. I only talk about who they are and what are the expectations, that particular aspect of their life. Then a design brief. I told students, if you're able to design a design brief, then you're able to become a good designer. They are already there. At that moment, there are many companies, so-called, there are collaborators. They don't really know what to ask from researchers, what to ask from design consultancy company. So be able to design brief assures you to become a good designer. But that half semester, they're going to give that brief to another group. The another semester. Another group will, for instance, you three will work on their brief next semester. But I do ask them to sign contracts between them. Important contract. It's partially professionalism, partially I knew they were good enough to develop something that can be submitted to design competitions that can generate patents. Invention, utility patent, design patent. We had many of those. Make sure you talk through that, and when you guys submit the design competition, when begin to have a company collaboration, you know who is responsible for what and who is going to be rewarded for what they do. So that was nice. And actually, one second-year student project was later purchased by a company that students started when they started doing research about it. So that company in another far place, are you from China? A company from Shandong who decided to set up a new company, sub-company near Wuxi based on the students' project. So that was all year two student work. And as I said, instead 77 sets of chairs, 7 sets of car modeling orders. So we have 7 different groups of people. And then one project we have seen technology advanced, a little bit of a biking device, fashion, a mobile application. This is actually a perfume for gay, very interesting, and then the bike. So you understand all things started from people rather than start from things. Those are all undergrad year 2 projects. And one last I asked them to do was simply reflect what you guys have gone through, the process. Give me a simple poster. Gone through. From here, identified among those many potential groups of people, we decided to choose these people, and then for understanding the people, and then every step. It's a very simple poster. Just record whatever you through. So it's a simple thing sophomores can do, but begin to nurture their capability of later to become design managers. By understanding process, by reflect on process, they're able to become managers. So then people said, Xin, you have taught all those in sophomore. What can you teach in junior year? They have nothing left to learn. I said, yes, there are many things to learn. For instance, for junior, all students, they have to submit a report, submit a video, submit a PowerPoint presentation, sure. All those. Year 2 or 3 things submitted to me, I review all those, and also during the critique time. But year 3, we still have those things. But remember, video from the perspective of customers. PowerPoint from the perspective. Just imagine you're talking to venture capitalists. And report. Think you're going to submit to project manager or upper manager within the corporation. And suddenly, year 3, they begin to understand outside world. Just that little twist suddenly make a huge jump between sophomore and junior. So that's what I did in China. And some of those experiments are a little bit of, actually I would say, fairly advanced in Chinese context. We had a 5-year conference, Redesign Design Education, in a smaller city, China, Wuxi, where let's say 2 major design institutions, big school, Tsinghua, Tongji. They usually don't go to those events, organized by any other smaller school. But my events, I would proudly say, every year at least 4 or 5, 6 people pay to come to the conference. Lots of wonderful people speak. our conference. So, as I said, I try to do many things, but somehow some of those are a little bit too advanced. Advanced enough for people to learn. If I continue to do more, I learn from what I was doing. There were more things I would like to do, but that's not the good time for me to continue to do more new things. So then I decide. I quit my job. I quit my job as a dean. During lunch, I said I was not appointed already identified by Ministry of Education as Vice President of the university. I said that's not my interest. So I would like thinking more. Those, no matter what I did from Hong Kong or Chinese educational context, what I did based on what I learned. I haven't incorporated enough of my personal understanding, reflection of 21st century. I haven't had enough of practices, professional experiences. I would like to do something more and different, but that's why I quit my job, I start a new company, all of this. So it's all about trying to think about 21st century design education. As I said, what I learned was from Carnegie Mellon, that's 20th century education. But I knew there was something we're already in the 21st century. Carnegie Mellon didn't say we are doing 21st century education. But why they didn't say that? I don't know. But no one, actually, I haven't heard enough people talk about 21st century, even though we are far into that age. As I said, from Bauhaus over 100 years ago, education was very contextualized in the larger socio-economic, technological context. So nowadays, think about 21st century. We do have many people talk about new things, the sustainable development goals. Those are somewhat repositioned values and principles of design. From thinking about those, talking about sustainable development goals, that's why we began to see those as award winners. Those who would think about this building would not be an award winner 20, 30, 40 years ago. But now it has such important value. It inspires so many people to do things, make positive social and economic change. Therefore, they are awarded. They're only awarded in this particular time of history. Too early, not good. Later, may not be good, but now it's at the time, then they become so relevant to our time. Technologically, everyone talks about AI and all those, and there are lots of discussions, and people even argue, should we incorporate that into the education or not? Personally, I don't think, I would respect every individual's point of view, but personally, I know if there is something inevitable, you accept it, make good use of it. As I said, if it's inevitable, whether you like it or not, it's coming, then you need to learn how to make good use of it. If I were, let's say, from the perspective of an employer, company owner, like me now, I'd still have an educational position. I'm hiring a designer. I would ask them, are you able to use AI to generate more ideas? If they say yes, I'm going to take him. Whether I like it or not, but I'm going to take him. So that's the reality. That's why skill sets changed so much from that many years ago to nowadays. When I was in college, when I was a mechanical engineering student, those are things we were designing, actually. Those were things we were designing. And nowadays, coding and all those, coding becomes such an important aspect of everyday life. It become a language a younger generation should have some understanding of. So technologically, we have to understand what is coming and what is inevitable, and also we have to make good use of it for ethical and good social reasons. And something else economically, there are many things about economics, but one simple thing about service society. Interestingly, in the United States, we have about 80% of our GDP from service industry, 80%, huge. And most design schools in the States are preparing students for third, for manufacturing, for all those. Some years, we students do go to service-related company, but we don't really have enough discussions and education programs for third industry, for service industry. German, Japan, UK, 70%, China, 54% of GDP from service industry. Education, we haven't seen enough of education on services. Be able to define, understand what is a service. Be able to understand what is a service. Very few people, even with design schools that are offering service design programs. From Europe, Milan Polytechnic, from China, Tongji, Xiangyang University, not many professors understand what is a service. Why people pay for service. What are they paying for? Not paying for traditional utilitarian functional value. They're paying for instance, time. They're paying for expertise. They're paying for convenience. And how convenience, how expertise are quoted, are charged. We don't understand. Actually, a week after I go back to China from now, I'm going to Beijing to attend an ISO meeting on excellence of digital services. It's an interesting project from ISO, International Standard Organization. They started this project a few years ago. They terminated that project. They're trying to develop standards for excellence of digital services. Somehow, they couldn't move forward. And there was a time they talked to me and said, you get confused between a service and a service experience. A product, there's product experience. They were very confused about service and the service experience. Then suddenly they lightened up. So they said, Xin, can we invite you to join this group? So I said, okay. So I think I'm going to lead this group for International Standards Organization on digital service design. So when agriculture is so industrialized, when industries, machines are so digitalized, everything has some aspect of services inside. We have to understand what is a service. So this 54% does not count the new industries. Think about Procter & Gamble. They started laundry businesses. I know they were going to start, they started around 2010. I think they have over 1,000 laundry businesses nationwide. And think about Rolls-Royce, total care power by the hour business model. You don't have to buy plane engines. You buy hours that the engine is operated on your plane. So many things that is coming, and it changes the many reasons why they're doing that business model. It's because the many reasons. One reason is the traditional manufacturing or making of engines. Even though there are only a few companies globally that are able to make good engines. But they still realize the threshold is there, it's coming. We need to invent new ways to gain new competitive advantages. It's like why GE showed their home appliances to hire, because there are no technological secrets there. The only thing left is cost reduction, labor, distribution channel, marketing. So, and it's difficult to find your own unique edge on those competitions. So, If design education is contextualized, context completely changed. Socially, we position the value. Technologically, I think about all these new technologies, whether I like it or not, it's coming. If you are a parent, you would like to have your kid to learn new technologies. Economically, things have changed. Come to ID. This was a few years when I was already in China. A wonderful design, BMW i8 was beautiful. I asked a design student, have you ever seen this new award from BMW? He said, no. I said, why no? Because they were not on homepage big news. They were no longer big news for those. Those were big news, let's say, even 10 years before this. At that time, the big news was about autonomous driving. And nowadays, all good and bad news, hate and love, is about Tesla. Whether you like it or you don't. Some people love it, some people hate it. Some people like Elon Musk, some hate Elon Musk. His whatever. But there are scientific discussion. So we have to understand what's behind, besides understanding all the interesting portion aspect and cooperation aspect stories, but we have to understand how that relates to design education, how we have to prepare for students to be able to work in that type of industry context. Speaking about Tesla, I think why Tesla invited me to be at the headquarters for the PR program. They might have listened to one of my talks. Tesla here, I've seen the reviews by people who talk about Tesla. This new Model 3 looks so even more luxurious, wonderful, even more luxurious. But I have seen lots of reviews in China. Oh, Tesla, they're so cheap, so not luxurious. Think about like another domestic model that's so much more higher branded, for instance, Neon 6 or whatever from WeLife, from other Chinese companies, more luxurious. Tesla looks so cheap. But interestingly, cultural differences. I see most American and European and this is more luxurious. But from China, we see this very cheap. But one thing I ask Chinese car makers, do you realize whether you like it or not, or agree that theory is behind or not, the whole EV industry started by concerning environmental concerns. You may not agree with the logic behind, but certainly the birth of EV industry is a concern. It's consideration of energy, consideration of environmental issues. So therefore, those are things that important background foundation for making this interior decision. And so many other, even though I'm Chinese, sorry, I have to say, some of the domestic Chinese makers, short-term strategically, they can make some of the more luxurious interior, but I would hope they don't say that. They don't say they're more luxurious. They have to understand why EV industry is there. For that reason, perception changed. Perception, what is good, what is luxury, is changed. So you feel this is more right. You feel is more right. You feel it's more, there's no absolute right or wrong, but you feel it's more right. So another thing to think about, from Henry Ford, all car manufacturing, streamline production. My first job in China, I was actually working for General Motors' first factory in China. From Henry Ford over 100 years ago, nowadays, we're so good at making streamline production. People thought there was no room for making it more efficient. Until Elon Musk. We designed the car, made the whole production itself, cost reduced to 20 to 30% production cost decrease. you have to respect Elon for doing that. When people thought there's not much room for reducing production cost of cars, even though it's a new and it's an EV, electric vehicle, but other car manufacturers, they didn't see that potential. Elon did. So here, it's a new perception of what is right, what is good, what is bad. A whole new industry game. Think about a car. You have to understand from consumer perspective, the context of use, the context of business, context of production. From micro side, micro user experiences, how you're handling the car and all those, to all the perception of the right or wrong values. From the design of interior, the cost, the quality, to all the way the big industry context, big industry games. There are so many things from both context of production, context of use. From the side of human, from the side of physical world. There's so many things that goes behind the success or failure of one business, of one product. It's the dream for many designers and design educators to have design of a much greater, higher value. And we do understand when we design something, we're considering much wider context of things. Our impact from goods level, organizations level, institutional level, we consider individual users' experiences, immediate user experience, to communal to global context of things. So here, on a smaller scale, think about individual users, the immediate experiences of product and services. It's very much we consider contextualized local principles, contextualized in that particular aspect, industry, that type of products, that particular group of customers. Local principles very much contextualized. So that's a good design for that particular product, for that particular user group. It works well for China, not for Europe, for instance. So now when we begin to think, trying to have a design, have a large impact at the global level, you have to suddenly begin to think about principles that are stable enough, principles and values shared by people all over the world, but different industries. Think about the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Those are first principles. No matter what the industry you work for, you have to think about those 17 goals. So that's how I personally call those first principles of design. Of course, there are other interpretations, other sets of first principles. Traditionally, we're very good at teaching local principles, like what I did in China for education experiment, teaching students understand a particular group of people, develop a special product for one particular aspect of their life. That's a local principle design, which I did. I was happy enough about the result, outcome. The first principle side, we talked about that, but we have not yet developed any holistic curriculum for that. People talk about that. We have thesis research about that, but we don't really have a good overall design curriculum for that. That's missing globally. So that's what I'm trying to do. And many people started many things in different educational programs. I had ID, visual communication, interior, environmental design, fashion design. Now some of those things, interaction design, experience design, service design become very hot. Now we began to see people talk about social innovation, organization design, and the many future axes. So we began to see lots of expansion of new areas of design, research, practices, As I said, people worry about, Xin, you're going all over the places, everything is designed as yes. As I said, Bauhaus, you started there 3 years, you're able to do so many things. Now, we just have to identify a set or sets of common themes, things that you study that would have allow you to understand many things together. Those are more, that's design research is, one design research is all about. And also from form given to user experience to now research and development, that's right now so many integrated design education program works for, from Carnegie Mellon to D-School to UPenn to Berkeley, and University of Washington. They're trying to bring people from business, engineering, design together to do for the research and development. But now, strategic design, social innovation, and many other things are coming, but we don't really have a good set of methods and principles yet. And certainly we don't have educational programs prepared for those. As I said, I quit my job. I started a small company called XXY Innovation, about design consultancy. I was experimenting many things, many ideas. People think those ideas only work for educational context. I said, let's try. I did those. I thought I was successful enough persuade company leaders to at least listen to us. And also, besides consulting, are not consultant projects. Those are all my personally related, directly related startups. So besides consulting on many businesses, I have a startup with a tourist. I'm part of a startup for a material company, part of an investment company. I'm doing a robot for a surgery robot. So that's how our own investment company invested there. Then the larger institutions, they said, you need to be part of that in order for us to continue funding us. So now I'm part of both company. Of this interesting recreation company, and there's a data company. I'm trying all the things. People say, Xin, do you have enough time? I said, I do. Your year have 365 days. My year have 563 days. So those little icons are tools I developed for my own consultant, also startup works. The robot company is very interesting. So this is the only thing I can show for you right now. It's a pan-vascular interventional robots. We started everything from scratch, defining what that it should be. Hardware, software, we finished all the animal and human trials already. We're trying to sell a few units to hospitals this year, and hopefully that will give us a good start for the next round of development. So by doing all the consultant work and my own startups, and connecting those to my education experience, I realized one thing. So this is a very simple development of this. Is idea-wise very simple, just IMPD, integrated new product development. I do have designers, engineers, and business people work together from very beginning, and designers are making actually final decisions. That's because I'm one with the investment. I have the power to make that decision. So I realized so many companies learned about design thinking, all those, but they just could not get those things as an integrated part of their management, their corporate culture. For so many things I did, some succeed, some failed. I realized one thing. Only from business professional perspective, I realized one thing. One of the most significant effects of our time is the predominance of the organization. We somehow forget about that. We are now sit here in the United States at UIUC. We can talk about many things, even though today I'm not going to talk about politics, but if I want, we're able to. But there are places that you don't talk about politics. When I was studying in the States, I was able to discuss so many things with every person, but now Suddenly from last year's trip, I realized when I talked to some friends in the US, I do have to be a little bit more careful trying to find out which side he is in. He's on the Democratic side or Republican side. And now I began to feel, so you see, organizations, political organizations, different companies you work for that company, within the same company, different groups, you suddenly affect how you think, how you perform, how you see things. Organization has such huge dominance on who we are, what we do. Quite possibly it's most significant. We just don't realize that. We don't talk about it, but we also have to realize all organizations are created by human beings. From religious organizations, political organizations, different companies, you choose work for internet company, you choose work for traditional manufacturers. It all has huge impact on what you do. You work for that particular school, you work for Carnegie Mellon, you work for RISD, very different. And we forget that all organizations are designed, created, nurtured by human beings. And interestingly, nowadays, when we get to 21st century, we're able to produce so many things, so many quality products and services that are sufficient enough for global population. Somehow, people are still starving. Not because we're not able to produce enough food, but the organization of food and the wealth distribution is not right. Creation, distribution, and consumption of wealth is something that one aspect, understanding civilization, understanding economics, production, distribution, and consumption wealth. But we now are able to create enough wealth. We just are not able to distribute them well enough. So that's an organizational problem. The many things that we are struggled about, we're happy or not happy about, that relate to forms of organizations. That's what I'm trying to think. Maybe as organization and culture as central themes, and of course, as central themes, those themes need to be elaborated to smaller chunks. Each chunk would followed by a set of courses, seminars, studios. Organizations, culture as central theme for 21st education. Products and services are still relevant, but I would like to put them as undergrad degree. So whatever Carnegie Mellon is teaching at postgraduate level, undergraduate level, I put all things in undergraduate level, which I thought I experimented in China. Students from the year 2 student, what I showed to you, students are good enough to define and develop product and services, professional level, postgraduate level, organization, and cultures. So that's what I'm trying to do. I have already developed a tentative curricula for an undergrad program for Guangzhou Academy of Fine Arts. Right now, I have my own consulting company. I'm a full-time professor at Tongji University. I'm actually academic chair for the school, which is a lot of work. Luckily not political, but just academic side. And also have a second full-time for Guangzhou Academy of Fine Arts. How can you do that? Just have to work harder. That was not my intention. I was trying to quit one school, go to another school. The one school don't want me to leave. So that's an undergrad program, nurture future leadership that cares and delivers. Year 1, year 3, year 2, year 3, year 4. So every course will be designed new course. From studio, seminar, foundation, to design history, everything's completely redesigned. What I have to do, I have to organize seminars for teachers from all over China. Seminars are how they may teach courses. Of course, I'm very happy to see more people have their own versions of this. But In order for me to do something, I need to start from somewhere. So that's a 4-year undergrad program I designed for. Has no particular, let's say, so-called traditional stream of industrial design education, industrial design or visual communication. Sometimes I often give them a simple example. Think about the map. Is map a product of visual communication piece? It's 2D, but map is a product. Now, not even to think about the map on the mobile application as a mobile application. It's a service. If we teach students to understand those things as products and services that support their life experiences, so I would worry less about integration. Think really contextualize all education for within lives of people. A postgrad program was asked by Tongji to develop this English taught program, Design Thinking and Sustainable Future. So I'm behind both of these programs. So right now I have to be program leader for both programs at 2 different universities. So I don't have time to get into the details of each course and why each course, all the courses are designed in this. Sometimes it's an ideal situation, sometimes not ideal because the university requirement and all those. But I try to match, reflect what I proposed here. Undergrad, all services and products, capabilities, competencies of students will be educated in a 4-year program. Postgrad, organizations and cultures. So students have to learn to care with a planetary view, with an understanding of what that principles of design depend on what we care. We have many different design principles from more artistic expression to user-centered, human-centered, now so-called post-human-centered, planetary. It all depends on what we care. At different times, we care about different things for many reasons. Happy reasons, not happy reasons. What we care from design principles. Principles are not stable. I'm not saying it's not bad. It's okay. Principles are changing because what we care is changing with the advancement of civilization. So they have to understand principles are actually open to discussion. And also be able to make positive change with new professional competencies that reflect the central themes of organization and culture, with no excuse and with collective power of all. One thing I feel the most frustrating, I would say, the most frustrating conversation I have with my colleagues and my students is, Xin, you were trying to do this, but now I found that there's an obstacle there, there's a managerial requirement there. Come on, are you a designer? If you are a designer, work around that. Make that as a new opportunity for innovation. Don't tell me you're not able to do it. If engineers say that to me, I understand sometimes engineers train that way. I was an engineer, but if you are a designer, do never say no to me. Just find another way to do things. But I only care about 2 sides. The very beginning, motivation, intention, and the very end result, the principles that guide your solutions. I care about very beginning, motivation, intention, care about the very end, the principles. Don't tell me, in middle of the process, I don't care. The only thing, if there is one thing I do care is ethics, professional ethics. Oh, by the way, professional ethics, design as a profession, there's still so much for us to develop as a profession. Professional ethical codes. That's me. Think about lawyers. Even though lawyers may not have a good reputation, think about accountants. Think about architects. They have a profession. They have very stable sets of competencies. They have recognized shared ethical codes. We designers, we don't really have those yet. Not because we're bad enough, not because we're mature enough, but design is just a very interesting discipline, even though architects are design. So that is just my simple proposal. Before I finish, I'm going to show one little just happy pictures. So that's just my, even though my proposal is very short, but that's what I try to do. Happy pictures among the many startups. Maybe 6 or 7 startups I'm part of. I was part of this. Now I'm still part of this. A desert reforestation. Gobi Desert in Inner Mongolia. This is the place. Every piece of green planted by our team. There was an individual portion effort from a Hong Kong business person. He helped me when I was the dean of the school. So I said, I would help you to do something. Then he said, I have a desert project there. So would you like to be part of that? I said, yeah, sure. Then first I donated a little bit of money, then realized that's not enough. I joined the team now as a shareholder of the company. We did from there to here. Now this is only 2017. Now so much better. Previously, we do have a little bit of road there, but oftentimes overnight, one night, completely covered by sand. But now, everything is cool and beautiful things, animals from nothing to many things, fox to wild ducks and all sorts of things. And we have beautiful flowers. And as I said, every piece of tree planted by our team. We have already planted over 100 square kilometers of desert. It's a big space. I guess maybe as big as UIUC, even larger. It's huge space. Now, one thing I do learn, my personal experience working in the desert, realized desert, completely wild. Wild, there's nothing. But then suddenly a little piece of green there, then nothing. Then one little piece of green there, I realized as long as people live there, it's supposed to have green. And the place where we plant trees had grasses before, half a century ago. Because people left that place, government had very good intention to move people to a centralized location for economic development. The government had wonderful, beautiful motivation. But interestingly, when people leave that place, sand covers that place. So one thing I realized, besides planting trees, which China is doing right now, we need to find ways to keep people happily stay there. That's what I'm trying to do there. From forestation to culture building. That's another traditional software design, social innovation, many things I've done. So one small tiny little thing, trying to let people understand there might be interesting ways to connect a wide desert to contemporary lifestyle and sentiment. You can feel Miami in China, Mongolia, Gobi Desert. So I will organize desert beach volleyball match. It became a very nice, happy event. Almost iconic, because iconic we feel, oh, Gobi Desert. People think about the Gobi Desert, and I had people ask me, Xin, are you guys doing any scientific experiment there? For instance, about people occupy Mars, think about Mars, that type of Elon's efforts. We do have those things, but less scientific, more for recreation. But we don't do that. We care more about fear. People leave that place because they feel they are left behind the modern civilization. We'll find ways to design small businesses that require not much of investment, that can be operated and managed by local residents, nomads there. So beach volleyball is something they can do. They can easily do, organized. And every time when we start organizing beach volleyball for the first several events, daytime I would conduct workshop. And people, actually it's people from all over the places, to think about small businesses that nomad families can operate in desert. So they can stay there with good economic return, and also they feel not left behind by modern civilization. They feel okay not have to live in the cities. It's not really a city, but small town government put them together, but then they left the whole desert behind. So since I started those, then we began to have lots of volunteers. They organize their own events on our base. Those are another people organize their events in our base. And because of pandemic now we're a little slow, this year we're going to pick up that again. We're going to organize international design competition for designing buildings for desert, temporary buildings. And we're going to organize more events. I'm trying to make that place a base for launching, for companies to launch environmental friendly products. And hosting good international seminars, conferences. It's a beautiful place for family to have nice. So I'm very proud to say I'm part of this whole thing. Thank you very much. Sorry for taking more time than I should.
Much for the talk. One thing you talked about was the courses and the length of the courses. Like talking about like 1 year, or when you described that like bottle thing, like take 8 weeks to tell me what it is, all of that.
Yeah.
I like all of this because it's pointing towards like the need for prolonged experiences.
Yes.
When you teach design. Can you talk a little bit more about the importance of that time frame or length? Like what does this length bring into the experience of students?
Yes, yes. I think, thank you very much. I did mention about the length of projects because partially it's because I see a trend, at least in China, and there's some places in the States, they like so much of the short studio, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Those are good things, but if you continuously do that, it's repetition, you don't really learn much. Sometimes students, as designers, you have to learn to be able to finish a project from beginning to the end within 2 weeks, or you should learn also to be very busy for the same project for 2 years. There's a reason, has a lot to do with the fundamentals of design thinking, the openness of possibilities. You never finish what you do. So it's okay to have mini courses, 3-week, 4-week projects, but also you do really need to have students experience the semester-long projects. Very important. Otherwise, students really are not going to learn well. As I said, to work in the project for 2 weeks, same project for a whole semester, it's both a skill, also design management. It's also about design management.
Hi, so as you discussed, like in Tongji University and Xiangyang University, you spend like first 2 years to teach students about design thinking, like foundations, and same things happen in our school and like many other schools I hear about, like. But actually, like after like spend like 2 years on those foundation knowledge, a lot of students still like lack of professional practice on their portfolios or like their like like sketch skills or like CAD skill on their real work experience. So like how do you think to balance those design thinking foundation and the professional practice skill training?
It's interesting. Oftentimes you teach this in school. You prepare a portfolio that some students, they prepare a portfolio that does not reflect what they learn from school. They're trying to fit what their understanding of expectations of companies. One of my personal suggestions to students. This is not theoretical. My suggestions to students. Teachers would never try to do anything bad to you. Listen to them, listen to their experiences. You don't try to think, don't try to guess what company is looking for. Sometimes companies do ask this and that. So that's because when they see so many similar portfolios, they thought, okay, that's all you can produce. So do whatever represent the best of your education or experience, what you think is right, and therefore you at least make sure that you're getting the job that's what you want. And one thing I changed so many times in my career, people said, Xin, you have changed so many times. Are you crazy? I said, no, I think, yes, I do have many different jobs, but one thing that is very consistent, I'm always doing things that I enjoy to do. That's why I never get tired. So when I was starting that experimental program at Xiangyang University, parents always ask me, Xin, you're starting this program called Integrated Innovation Experimental Program, and we look at the postgraduate programs in Tsinghua, Tongji, overseas. There's no master program called Integrated Innovation. So do you think our kids will be able to get into graduate schools? They're so worried. So don't worry, they're going to be okay. And I'm sure they're going to have very good chance to get to be accepted by top graduate programs and by top companies. And they were so worried that companies don't have a post called for integrated innovation. We have posts for hiring visual communication designer, graphic designer, industrial designers, but then they realized that most desirable students were from my integrated innovation program. I can show. If you are doing the right thing at the right time, be honest to what you do, be confident about what you do, you'll be okay. Because the students that try to think what the company is trying to do. If you can surprise company, it's better. Surprise them. Anything?
So I think SCD has some fellows that does work as pre-college education. Is that right? Yeah. So have you done any work or research, or do you have some opinions about connection between maybe high school to college in terms of this design? I'm not saying forcing people to be designers, but maybe some skills that could be better equipped if they had it before college. Yeah.
I did try that when I was in Wuxi as a dean. We made a connection with one of the most recognized elementary school and one of the most recognized high school in the city. We developed the program for the middle school and for the high school and for elementary school. It was good. I was happy. Many people are happy, except when I left, they didn't continue that because those were things cannot be written in their own professional report at that particular moment. And I cannot count it as KPI publications or those. But later, Tongji University developed a similar approach, developed a design-centric high school. It became such a big deal nationwide and got lots of international recognition. It's very important. It's not because we're trying to make them to become designers, but one thing, some teachers may reference, let's say, Herbert Simon or many other older speakers, John Dewey, we're talking about design as a fundamental capability of human beings. So there's a design thinking that everyone has some level of design thinking in their gene as a human being, and then design as a profession. So after college, from college to postgraduate programs, then you develop that profession, but design thinking is part of everyone.
Okay, I'm very intrigued. So another question I have is that when most of the time when we give students projects, they work in teams, right?
Yes.
So given your huge experience, can you talk a little bit about like team-based instruction? Like, do you instruct students, tell them how to do team-based or work in teams? What do you do when, you know, you have a challenging situation where one student is not fit or they, you know, like, yeah, how do you deal with these team-based issues?
So firstly, I need to make sure all students in their 4-year undergrad or 2 or 3 years postgraduate education, they need to experience different forms of team formation. Sometimes they make their own choice. I would like to join with that person to be on the team. Sometimes I need to do the random. Sometimes I'm going to direct them to some. So that's it's designed. They have to work in different situations. I said, in school, that's the best time for you to make those mistakes, to feel the frustration. Don't wait till you get in the companies, you only start to feel frustration when you become a professional. So also, when I was in Hong Kong, I tried to design the semesters. So one semester, they're going to work with another university student, with same time Zoom. Then make sure they're going to have a team experience with another school remotely with different time zones. Those are different things to play. And of course, the team coaching, we do have team coaching, different techniques. So when I was at Carnegie Mellon as a student, there were 4 teachers for one course, design, business, engineering, and there was an organizational behavior teacher. In my own teaching, I don't have that luxury, but we do have to understand, make sure that students feel comfortable about different situations. Let them understand this is all natural. Don't think you need to be always happy. And teachers do know who make contributions, and we do have this peer assessment after the team project, team assessment, the peer assessment among each other. Also make sure the grades, I think many of us, we do know about the little techniques about make sure individual assessment, team assessment, what might be a good percentage, along that the final grades has enough of ranges. So, yeah. Yes.
Do you at any point when you are conducting a course, first of all, I have to thank you for the lovely presentation, and I feel very happy looking at what you're doing because I do pretty much a lot of this in my innovation and my business class. I teach new product development at GEES. So I'm very happy to be a part of your lecture today, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you essentially give a rubric for every assignment that you give to students in terms of giving, you must have A, you must have B, you must have C? And your grading is then evaluated according to all of that?
Usually I'm very open to those.
Okay.
As I said, I care about the very beginning and care about the very end. For instance, like the sophomore class, 4th semester, the class was called Research and the Definition. But use research and definition, but I don't teach and I don't give any single PowerPoint presentation lecture to students. But I would design assignments. Make sure I don't have to explain much. They have to go through those things. By the end, I'm going to let them come together, share what they have done. Then usually do better than I do myself. So I have been very flexible on what they do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, one more question. So we are at this building, the Siebel Center for Design. Like, our mission is to practice, model, and teach design thinking using human-centered design to reimagine the campus, community, and collective world. So we create experiences for people who are expert in design and design thinking. We also have experiences for people who are novice in design thinking, or they don't know anything probably about design. But we believe, as I mentioned, that design thinking is a problem-solving approach that is fit, and design literacy is really a good thing for a University of Illinois student to really have, whether they are design majors or not. In your opinion, like, what is design literacy? Like, what is success for us if every student in the University of Illinois comes to SCD and experience something here somehow, somewhere? What will be something that we want them to take with them, even if they are not design majors?
I don't know whether I'm able to answer that question well enough, but it's a wonderful, important question for all of us to think about. In my little thing I'm trying to do next is nurturing future leadership that cares and delivers. Learn to care. Learn what to care is very important. I think care is very important part of design thinking. As I said, what do you care drives design principles. Sometimes there are local principles that are situated in particular context. There are global, more shared first principles. So those are not that much taught in traditional engineering education, but from Hope Simon, design engineering is also design. And also business is also from last, say, almost 2 centuries, from 1800, early 1800 to early 1900, Taylor's approach of management. Now, management becomes so flexible. It's organizations somehow, when we get to this century, organization becomes so different from traditional 1800, 1900 organizations are mostly designed for manufacturing. Some public organizations, public institutions, then private mostly for manufacturing. Now, completely changed. Whereas, let's say in the Western, 1/3 of organizations are NGOs, and China certainly less. There are social businesses different from NGOs. Now, everywhere it's all changed. But learn how to know what to care, and also open, in that case, open principle, open approach. Approaches are open. Do not think there's only one way to do things. So that part is difficult. Management going from tailored scientific approach to a more flexible management design process is a frustrating transformation for business schools. And engineers are the same. But if you think about all of us are working for some general purposes of life, realize when all universities began to talk about we have to integrate it, we have to collaborate, then we have to realize there's a big problem of education. 40 years ago, people talk about integrated education, collaboration, that's wonderful. Now we begin to realize no matter what we do, we need knowledges from other disciplines, which means our education overall has a problem. We're somehow disconnected from everyday life.
Thank you.
Thank you. Design thinking is a wonderful piece to get those connected. Yes.
We are all talking about sustainability in a big way, but if you read the latest report by the World Economic Forum, the EV industry is the amount of shortage it's going to have with cobalt,
Yes.
with nickel,
Yes.
with copper. It's going to be amazing.
Yes.
The problem, everybody is very happy to be on the board, on the ship for sustainable design and sustainable everything, but nobody's addressing the repercussions that all of this is creating. That report even mentions in Indonesia the kind of brutality that has happened with areas that have been identified with resources, with all of these essential elements from nature that are needed. So why is education not talking about repercussions that we are creating in a bigger picture, which is never going to reverse itself? We're only talking about, plastic and stuff, which is very right. And there are so many economies which have done
Yes.
away with the one-time plastic, and not today, many years ago. So do you think it's important for us to talk about repercussions that
yes.
industry is creating, which is going to be irreversible and we're not talking about human-centered design anymore. We're talking of life-centered design now, right?
Very much so. That's why the postgraduate program I'm creating for Tongji is about design thinking and sustainable future. Sustainable future not only natural resources but also about cultures. Because Industrial Revolution created not only natural resources imbalance between human capability of production and acquired versus natural rehabilitation. So that's one type of imbalance. Also, the concept of developing and underdeveloped nations, interesting, is a new concept. It was not a concept before. Why they are underdeveloped nations? It's another cultural imbalance created somehow, may not be intentionally, created by industrialization. Also has something to do, I respect him greatly, Adam Smith. The wealth of nation. Wealth of nation was measured, calculated by those measurements. That's how we began it all. That's a developed nation because the accumulation of wealth not defined, but somehow led or by those group of people, including Adam Smith. That's a huge thing. That's why I said one simple product, EV, ever micro to macro level of consideration from both side of production and side of use. That's wrong here, that's right there. No right and wrong, but something designers we have to something called systematic about what is system. System, I think, has a lot to do, just my personal interpretation of culture and organization. The central theme of cultural organization, I'm trying to theme cultural and organization as a theme for 21st design education, but then I use ideal, thoughts, values as themes for organizations. Thank you. Thank you all.